Which sim racing wheel is best for you? Which sim racing wheel should you get for the racing that you want to do? Well, in this video, we're going to let you know. I'm here with Sam, professional karter, and we've got we brought a selection of, we think this is the cross section that you need to be aware of, the different shapes and sizes. By the way, we're really talking about form and function here, not the specific actual wheel. The only wheel here that we've got for free is the Moser one. Everything else we bought with our own money, but just to let you know. And we've got the WRC circular wheel, but there'll be a lot of circular wheels you'll see from companies like Fanatec and Moser that will look very similar. We've got your one, Sam, there.
Yep, the Fanatec F1 Esports.
Very popular rim, that one. Yep. We've got also extremely popular rim here, which is the Fanatec McLaren GT3 V2 rim. And then we've got the Moser FSR rim here with a screen. So just in terms of setting up the lay of the land of what these rims are trying to replicate, that is replicating a Formula experience, like a Formula 1 car, but also like an F2.
F2, F3, F4, that type of, not F2, Super Formula, yeah. F3, F4.
So open wheel Formula cars. This, in my opinion, but you let me know if you agree, it's really replicating a sort of prototype, so hypercar with the screen and a lot of things like hybrid system management, and we've got a load of different buttons on the front and dials. This McLaren GT3 is actually basically a replica of the McLaren, I think GT4s or
no, it's the 720S.
720. Okay, well, so not the GT4. It's basically a replica of the GT3 McLaren at that time. So this is a GT3 style rim, but also generally a GT car style one as well. And then we've got the round rim. Now this one in particular is WRC branded, so particularly rally, but really this represents sort of a general sort of road car.
Yeah, there's loads of them out. There's a BMW ones, there's Porsche ones, but that's your general road car.
We should also show we didn't want to include it in this video, but just to give you an idea, this is the Moser truck wheel, which is another example that we didn't think was that relevant for sim racing. So we're gonna throw this off and say, let's say we're also going to talk about console compatibility a bit here and whether you're on PC console. But let's say I'm on Gran Turismo or Forza, so whichever side of the console divide you're on, and you want to race in GT cars. So you want to race in sort of the BMW M6, M4. Yep. I think it's got to be this one.
Exactly the same.
Now, I've personally used this wheel like a lot. It's probably the wheel I put the most time in out of it. Well, it is the wheel out of these ones I put the most time in. For me, it's just so comfortable. And I don't know if that's because GT, I'm often doing long stints endurance racing, but the grips here are just a bit chunkier. I don't know if you can...
Yeah, I mean, I've never held this wheel before today, and I was amazed at how nice and light it was. Yeah. And that really, for your longer endurance races, that makes a lot of sense, how nice. And it's obviously got the extra paddles on the back as well. Very
different paddles. These on your Formula rim feel like a bit more like hair trigger, magnetic. Those are magnetic as well, but they're very clunky in comparison.
Yes, and if you notice on that one, and compared to this one, this side here affects this side.
Yeah.
It's like one single bar, whereas that one is two independent ones.
Yeah. I find that quite comforting sometimes when I'm downshifting in the rhythm. I can sort of just feel it through the bar.
Is there going to be a background noise of us just clicking through gears here while we're talking?
ASMR moment. But some wheels do have very disappointing shifters. I don't have one here. The Moser truck wheel actually doesn't have shifters at all. But just one difference, that wheel has clutch paddles as well. So you have a clutch on both sides. And if you are someone who is disabled or you basically can't race using your legs, you can actually map those very easily to be the throttle and brake. Cool. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you can race an entire car just using that wheel. I think like Michael Schumacher did something similar when he broke his leg.
Did he?
Silverstone.
I know Alex Zanardi, when he did his legs, obviously, in that IndyCar crash. I know when he took up racing, he did BMWs.
Yeah.
They had their throttle and the brake on that. And the guys from the British, I can't remember their name. But they're...
Billy Monger.
Yeah, Billy Monger, and you've also got like a GT team who are all disabled ex-military.
Team Brit.
Team... Yeah. Their stuff is all connected to the steering wheel, and it's amazing. They had it at a trade show I went to recently, and just trying to drive their times, I count myself as a confident driver on it, and I was 4 or 5 seconds off their pace. It's amazing how much they can do with it.
So if that helps one person, then that's great, because we wanted to let you know about that. In terms of the grips themselves, are these Alcantara grips?
They are, yes.
So because you're often going to be wearing gloves.
Yep.
And you've got your gloves actually there, haven't you?
I actually got my gloves right here.
And these are the gloves you use on this wheel?
That's the exact gloves I use on that wheel.
What would you say the advantages? Because does it make it what are the pros and cons of using gloves?
For me, I don't get sweaty hands. I don't like getting sweaty hands. So with the gloves on, it's not doing it. Plus, it being Alcantara, like you said, the sweat will stain it. But I prefer the gloves. It's just more natural. I mean, you're doing sim racing. You want it to be realistic.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there with a crash helmet, but I think gloves.
So it's a really good point, and I think a divisive point. I think what you touched on there is so important. This is sim racing, and every car we're simulating, the drivers will be wearing gloves.
Yes.
That said, I personally don't like to wear gloves, and that's.
Do you not?
No, that's why I don't. Actually, we're going to get onto it, but I have some issues with this wheel, which is also Alcantara.
Yeah.
Whereas on the McLaren, I've used this wheel without gloves. Like, I can't tell you how many hundreds of hours I put into this thing, and it almost doesn't look. It doesn't look new, but it doesn't really look.
It doesn't look old.
Yeah.
It looks like used, but not abused.
Compared to I've literally worn the paint off the shifters, and you can see how I use 2 fingers.
Yeah.
Do you use 2 fingers, or do you?
2 fingers. Yep.
Yeah, but
Same.
you can actually see that there if you can zoom in on that. But so where we were, GT3 racing. Yes, I would absolutely use this. This is a Xbox. This one particularly is an Xbox rim. So if you use it in the Fanatec ecosystem, it will just always work on Xbox. And if you have a PlayStation compatible wheelbase, which look at my interview with the Fanatec CEO if you want to work out what's going on there, but it would work on all 3 consoles. I don't know what the console compatibility with that one is like, actually.
I can't help you on that. But one cool feature this does have is that it's got rumble motors in the grips. So it simulates understeering. So when you're driving a real car and you're understeering, the steering wheel vibrates.
Yeah.
You actually get them in the grips here.
That's not something that's in that Fanatec one, or in fact any other rim here.
And I think that's a really cool feature.
Okay. So we'll come back to the Moser FSR because obviously it looks quite similar to that one, but we'll talk more about driving road cars. And when my setup was entirely Fanatec, so I was using these 2, I would switch to this rim when I was driving something like a Mazda.
I've got a BMW round wheel.
Yeah.
And I do the exact same thing.
What sort of cars are you driving, or when are you using that rim?
I tried, like I said, we went to before, I tried to replicate what I'm seeing on screen. If the car on the screen's got a round wheel, I'll use my round wheel. If the car on the screen's got a Formula wheel, I'll use that instead.
Yeah.
But I think the round wheels are a lot bigger, so you get a lot more, not precision, but you can get a lot more leverage. You can control stuff a lot easier.
I want to get onto this point because I think it's a really subtle point that we can try and explain. By the way, Gamer Muscle, if you're watching, stop using a Formula wheel for driving everything. It's just wrong. But we're talking about precision, right? So I don't know how we're going to... Do you want to hold the GT3? Because on a GT3 car, even if you were doing, say, Monaco at the hairpin, you're never really going to be taking your hands off the wheel in terms of the wheel rotation. You're going to be going like this.
Yeah, I think they have a special steering rack fitted for Monaco.
Yeah.
So I think they can do that, and that's it.
But in the wheel like this, you are quite... In some cars, you are going to be feeding the wheel through. In the truck wheel, the truck wheel, when I use it, has a rotation of 1,800 degrees.
I think you should just show them the actual size difference side by side here.
It looks like the truck wheel has eaten this one. But yeah, so it comes down to wheel rotation a little bit. I actually drive this often on a 540 degree rotation.
Okay.
Which is really short. Karting, it feels like you make very subtle movements in karting and you get a big effect on the wheel. So it's a very small rotation, I would imagine, on the wheel.
I think it's not far from 180, so literally flat to flat.
Yeah.
You don't cross your arms over anywhere in karting.
Yeah, so if you're using a rally car and you want to get those moments of like big lock and everything, you might be doing that and then letting it feed through. I actually, personally, I find this less precise, but I think that's because I'm often using it in cars where there's more rotation. So,
like the Mazdas and stuff like that, yeah.
Exactly. I also find this one sometimes more comfortable. I'll give you an example. I've raced at Daytona. In fact, we've raced together Daytona 24 Hours.
We did.
And I've done it in many different cars, prototypes, GT3s, and also Mazdas. If I'm coming into turn 1 at Daytona, which is a really precise, probably one of my favourite corners in the whole world, I know if I'm using that rim in a GT car, I'm going to be super precise. I've used this rim on a prototype, super precise. If I come in on the Mazda in this rim, I'm not going to be as precise.
Yeah, no, I think the Formula wheels are for precision. The round wheels, in my opinion, are trying to collect mistakes. So if you think you're going to run wide, I think round wheels are better.
That's. I'm trying to think a moment where I've had that, but like there was a race I was doing recently where I'd continually get into trouble, and I just couldn't. My wheel is just. I've just gone, and then I can't shift.
Yeah.
I can't do anything. I've just lost control. You can think on the end of turn 1 at Daytona.
Yeah.
When if you're sort of losing it at the later stage and you're trying to collect it and not going
your arms are upside down.
You're just gone. Yeah, you can't save it.
So I think the round wheels are better for the Mazdas, the looser cars, the cars with grip. For me, is Formula wheels.
Yeah. So I was driving a Ford Mustang recently. Actually, a lot of fun on the exit to sort of like let the car drift out.
The Zolder race.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's go on to the Moser FSR. Very interesting rim. I do want to say that the quick release here on my Moser has started to wobble. I've had this before on other Moser rims. Looks like it should be quite an easy fix, but I just wanted to let you know. This is one of my favourite wheels, though, to use, not least because of the display. The interesting thing here is, Sam, and I'm not sure if you've ever used the BMW GT4 rim from Fanatec, but it's their most expensive wheel.
Okay.
It's the one that Valentino Rossi uses in the WRT M4.
In the actual real race car.
In the real racing. That has very simplified buttons, a little bit like your one, where you only have really 3 knobs and some things. Moser here have gone to town on the buttons. I'm not sure that's super realistic. Like
short of Formula 1, I don't think there's anything with that much buttons on them.
So this feels like, to me, this is kind of a computer game wheel. That's my personal opinion anyway. But the advantage of this is you can just do so much stuff. So if you want to mess around with hybrid systems, brake balance, diff, map, ERS, so ABS, turbo, I've got TC, absolutely everything, and then obviously your DRS button, pit limiter, everything else, then this is really a crazy rim. And also, it might not be obvious, but you actually do get a clutch and a thing.
And carbon fibre paddles.
Yeah, is that actual carbon fibre or not? I don't know. Or is it looking like carbon fibre? Because this is looking like
that is actual carbon fibre. You can tell because there's little bridges in it.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
This is cool. I've never had a Moser before, and this is really cool, man.
Yeah.
All the different adjustments. I'd love to see what the screen was like. One day, I'll get to see the screen on.
Yeah, important. So that was given to me for free by Moser, so it's important you know that. But I'm just being completely honest with you, and also in the quick release has gone. The screen, use it in the Moser software, so it's not something I'm aware you can get third-party software.
Okay.
But in the Moser, there's I think about 12 presets. You can have it like really super detailed, which I obviously did the first time, and I was like, you can't actually see anything. Or you can bring out certain stuff as well. Just on integrations of displays and whatnot, I think all of these wheels have an integrated display of some sort at different levels. So I think the simplest one is actually probably, depends. Yeah, the simplest one is this one.
Yeah.
Because we only have this screen here that enables you to go through the menu and you can change the usual stuff like the rotation, the force feedback level, control your wheelbase, and basically in a race that gives you the top speed or speed of your car. It's got a little bit more than that.
So mine's got, let me put this down. So on my one, obviously, you got your standard revs up there. You can change all your... So if I was changing my traction control, which go over here, I do get notifications here. You can just see it, the numbers.
So when you go onto it, at that moment, it goes off speed and it says you're...
Yeah, so if I went up, this number here would then increase from 3 to 4, whatever I'm going to, or down, it'll go down. Obviously, you've got the revs at the top. And then I don't know if you've noticed, with some of the GT3 cars, they've got the loss of traction lights on the side of it.
Yeah.
So that's what these ones here do.
Yeah.
So there's some little ones just there on the side. And
ABS as well?
Probably. So ABS, when you lock up, they flash up. Yeah.
So basically, in GT3 cars that have traction control and ABS, because Formula 1 doesn't have any ABS or TC. So that's funny that they have it on the car, on that rim, I should say. But it's like you don't want to engage the ABS. Actually, you want to be just close to getting on the ABS. Different sims apply, but I think actually right now the meta in a lot of games actually no TC, no ABS. It seems that's where it is. And the same TC, you don't want it to kick in exactly.
Yeah.
So you can see there if you're starting to go and adjust the brake bias.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got enough buttons that you can do it. This one here is a turny one, and that one is a click through.
Yeah.
All the extra buttons going around.
Very popular rim, that one. On the WRC rim, which is basically the P1 but with Alcantara, you do actually get a little display here, but it only shows like 3 numbers.
Oh, okay.
It's like an old school one. And this changes colour. So this is your sort of your rev band. But it's not particularly crazy. Actually, we were doing some ASMR. These are the worst shifters. You do the honours. You do it to the microphone. These are just the worst shifters ever.
Oh, that is disappointing. That's really. There's not even a click there.
Yeah. These ones are divisive. But these are boomy. Like, you know, your next door neighbour's going to know you're sim racing on this.
Yeah. Yeah. So on my one, it's not as loud, but you can hear it.
They're more clicky.
It's somewhere in between the two, and then the Moser. What's that one saying?
Interesting the difference in these two. Ooh.
Oh, that is loud.
Yeah.
That feels more confident. You
Yeah,
definitely know when you've clicked a gear.
That might be too loud for a lot of people, actually. And I know on my microphone I have to basically run different settings so it's not constantly picking it up. By the way, this video is helping you. Please make sure you subscribe. Ask any questions you've got in the comments. Just trying to help you decide what rims are right for you, because sim racing has become so, like, it's just getting more and more popular, and you don't really want to be using the wrong rim if you don't need to. For example, I use a Logitech G Pro, my day-to-day, and that only has one rim, which is a circular rim.
Yeah.
So I'm really sacrificing, by using Logitech G Pro, I'm sacrificing being able to have a GT style rim. For me personally, I think there are other benefits with the G Pro, like the True Force, but it's important to know what these trade-offs are. I don't know if you've got any more thoughts on these.
The only other thought I have, going back to this, is they should all have a horn button right here.
Mapped, yeah.
You should have a horn button mapped, and you should be able to use it.
You know the interesting thing about that rim as well? They've got those two things. They're sort of PSP joysticks.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. Which is quite interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
You do also get it on this Moser one as well, but you could technically play Counter-Strike with that thing.
That'd be a record, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to do it. But I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you. More helpful videos around here, and we'll see you next time.